Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the show. Because you're doing well, because they're having a wonderful day on this 14 October 2024. We're about to do a review, another recap of a show called Delicious in Dungeon, which is an anime I started watching because of One Piece break, 6 month breaks. Why Dungeon in Delicious in Dungeon? There's 24 episodes, so it's kind of quick. We're already watched 6 episodes today. We're playing Fortnite, but we still watch it. So there's in Dungeon episode number 1. I'm tired. This is my last video. That's why I'm not in a rush necessarily, but I want to get into the meat of the subject. Get it? Meat Delicious in Dungeon. So it's another show about exploring a dungeon. It is another show about adventure, going on an adventure, but there's a nice twist to it. So we got a super original way of making the party as weak as possible. See, I kind of weird. We started playing one of my new favorite game, and I played it for 24 hours, so could tell you. Metaphor Re Fantasio. And when I talk about dungeon, we talk about adventure, I honestly think about RPG. And when you think about RPG, and this is the gamer part of me, so this should be on the Ink Vendetta slash gaming channel, right? Just a shameless plug. Who's gonna notice? Who's gonna say something? Who's gonna care? Thank you. So I want my party to be as weak as possible because I want my party to be, as the story goes along, to get stronger and stronger and stronger until we're finally ready for the big bad boss. So the first episode is super original. We're going to a part that's really well established. So the reason why this is such a cool concept is because they're not newbie. There's not newcomer. They have some experience at fighting. So there's no need for a shorter anime to have this training sequence, right? If they meet this monster that is too strong, that kills them, they respawn. But since they respawn, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the cash. Because they don't have the equipment and the cash, most of the team, which are mercenary, leave. Leaving our main character, which is Leos, which is kind of like a soldier, leaving a girl, I forgot her name, I'm so sorry. And Chicknock, which is basically a thief, a expert in trap, and the other one, she's a mage. I think it's Mercil, but I'm not sure. So we have a very cool way of saying this is why they're so weak. They don't have equipment, and it's kind of cool because the first thing they say, which is I really really enjoy. The first thing they say is, okay, well we lost everything down there, we can get it back, but we have to go down there, and they don't have the cash. And the first thing they talk about is how expensive food is for an adventure. And it's kind of cool because you wouldn't think about that in a normal anime. You wouldn't think about food for you wouldn't think about cash for food. You would think about, hey, we have this really cool armor that we can buy, right? So the food, and so they're going, and then they're getting hungry, and then there's this monster, and the Leos is a bit curious, a bit weird character, and think about cooking a enemy. Then they meet a person, which is actually the fourth member of the squad. Said, no, you shouldn't cook like that. You should cook like this. Now, my issue, the show is really good, but my issue with the first chapter, with the first episode, the second episode, the third episode, is this. Oh, this is loud. This is loud, dude. Synchronize. It's a really good song, which is Sign of Life, but it's loud. So my problem is we have Senshin, which is the character that comes in, and I love Senshin. He's a good, cool character. He's weird, and it's kind of nice because we got a 4-member team. Two of them, which are the Marcel and the Thief, they're super serious, right? And we got the main character, which is Leos and Senshin, who are a bit more comic. So they're both up for tasting food, and it's a original way of, because the best part about Delicious in Dungeon is that it is not only an adventure anime, it's also a cooking anime. So you're seeing those enemies, and those enemy, what is really really sensational is those enemy. For example, the first one, there's this scorpion, right? And when you cook it, it's very similar to crab or to lobster. So the color change and everything. Like, yeah, I totally can picture it. And cooking. And ultimately, he's cooking with herbs that you can find in real life. He's cooking with a meat you can find in real life. So, and it's really cool because these segments of cooking are nice. Now we got episode number 2. Episode number 2 is a bit of a weaker one. We have another party that are weaker. I think the episode is meant to show us more of the universe, because we know the universe, but we don't know its inhabitants. So, for example, in the second episode, we have The mage is really trying to prove that she's still useful. And we have the thief who is still trying to prove that he's useful, and that's his specialty. And you establish every single character's specialty. Now, my problem with this, and it's a really good episode, but my problem with this is if you didn't focus so much on the bond and the friendship between Senshin and Leos, you wouldn't have to prove every single characters. You'd be like, just there's a team of 4, there's a mage, there's a thief, there's a random dude that comes to cook. It's kind of cool. And it's kind of cool because you're having a better understanding about the characters, but it's kind of failing because those characters should be precise. You shouldn't have to describe them. For example, if you introduce to me the mage, which is Marcel, and the way you introduce me the character is because she's self-conscious, that's fine. That is okay. With Marcel it's okay because the main character, which is Leo's sister, got bitten by a dungeon, by a dragon, which is the whole story. Let's get back his sister, and she was a way more powerful mage than Marcel. But then you have also the trap guy, and the trap guy is like, yo, you don't trust me, this is my specialty, I'll focus on the trap. And it comes also as a form of lack of self-confidence. So like, wait a second. So you had 3 characters, not an episode ago, you had 3 characters, and 2 of those 3 characters have problem with self-confidence. What kind of team is this? And I am watching One Piece, so of course I'm comparing the team of One Piece, and to a certain degree it makes sense because one of the 2 first crewmates of the Straw Hats are Nami and Usopp, who are pretty weak. But then you have Zoro and Luffy, who are total monster. You understand? So it's kind of similar, but in a different way. So Tree got so used to cooking monster. Okay, yeah, cool. I took some notes, of course, because I'm tired as fuck, and I want to go to bed. So let's do this. So number 3, we're finding armor, and it's cool because the show is, again, there's in dungeon. Episode number 1, you got cooking. Episode number 2, we got cooking. And what is really cool about episode number 2 that I'm not saying is their enemy at the end is a cockatrice. Cockatrice is what is a chicken with a serpent tail. So you get to eat both of the food, you get to cook the food, you get to cook the egg, which is phenomenal. But now it's armor, and we live in a universe, or in that universe, where the main character can die and it gets respawned. So one of the first death of the main character is the armor, and you get to learn that. And remember, out of the 3 characters, he's the only one that is kind of super strong. So like, okay, well, this character is afraid of the armor, so what are we gonna do? And we're fighting the armor, and this time the armor cannot be killed because they're made with magic. It's like, okay, what are we doing? And then the main character realized that no, it's not magic. There's I don't know, like hermit crab, I guess. I think it does the name in English, right? There's hermit crab, and there's hermit crab inside the armor, and those you can eat. We have a new party member. One of the crabs joined the sword. We don't know how much is going to help us or how little is going to help us, but it's another party member, right? Which is kind of cool. And episode number 4. Episode number 4 is a bit of a weaker one. So they have some food, and they're saying, okay, well, we're good on food. Can we trade it for something else? So they're going to this market, and this market is a cool place because it does show this life inside the dungeon. One of the main problem with the dungeon is all of the supplies are at the town. So this is the dungeon. Okay, this is the dungeon. Now, I hope you can see this. This is the dungeon. On the first floor, you got the food. You got everything you need, right? What you need. And you got the dungeon. And as you can see, it's empty. Well, there's a couple of drops of water, but that's about it. And the goal is here. So to go all the way here, you have to have enough food. So it's nice to know that there is a life inside the dungeon, and there is a trading system which does establish some rules of economy and some rules of value, because it's easy to say. For example, we were talking about One Piece a couple of minutes ago. In One Piece, there's a system of berry. So the berry is, for example, this guy reward is this amount of berry. This guy bounty is this amount of berry, and we use it as a strength system. So, for example, if we get a main character that has 100 million berry bounty, and he's facing a character that has a 150 million berry bounty, then technically the opponent would be stronger. And if the main character beats him, then he gets to get more bounty. We don't really have a normal sense of the cash. But in this one, we have a trade which is an economy without the cash. I can understand trading a lettuce for an egg. I have a hard time understanding what a made-up coin value on the market is, if it makes sense. We got different races with which is the orc, and it's kind of like a cool thing because in this case it's like, okay, well, the orcs were there first, so technically the dungeon was there. But then my problem with this is we got Senshin, which is a dwarf. You got Marcel, which is an elf, and we got an orc, and the orc kills everybody. And my problem with this is that it feels very Lord of the Ring, which is a good thing. My problem with this is you introduce more race, but you don't introduce them as good guy or bad guy. They're just supposed to think that they coexist. But if they coexist, why did the orc kill everybody? Does that mean that they're a bad guy? Am I supposed to understand that they're a bad guy, or are you going to tell me, no, they're a good guy? And I don't mind races being included. I don't mind races being introduced. What I mind is not understanding what is their purpose. For example, Lord of the Ring, we just talked about that. Super easy. Elf, good guy. Human, good guy. Dwarf, good guy. Don't get involved. Orcs, bad guy. Pretty simple. So because in one show orcs the bad guys, we have the exact same race here, am I supposed to think that the orc's the bad guy? And I don't know. Episode 5, which is kind of cool. Episode 5 is one of my favorite episodes so far. We have a different team, and it's kind of cool because a different team. So far we only seen one other team, and it's important to have more team because we're seeing their power, we're seeing their level of power, we're seeing how hard it is, what is their chance of survival. If there's a 100 team on floor 1, they have a good chance of survival. If there's another team and there's only one team more in floor 5, then there's a scaling of difficulty, which is important here. The fact that there's another team is complicated because, yes, you're saying that the dungeon is harder, but you don't really explain is the dungeon, is the team we're seeing is strong or not. And that is something. One of the character has black hair and blue eyes. If you look at the intro, he's part of the team. I don't know yet. So yeah, so we have also monster which are mimics. We have monster which are treasure, and it's a trouble finding if they're edible or not. But it's kind of cool. I did find it cool that we have treasure that edible, and it's kind of cool because if you don't know your shit, then some of the treasure is edible, some of the treasure isn't edible, which brings up a funny scene where they throw away treasure because they want the food. And it's a cool thing because the whole thing is based like on an RPG, and the whole thing is based on the fact that yeah, there's treasure, but there's mimic, which is, if you're a fan of RPG, you know there's mimic. So it would be fair to say that the treasure of mimic could also be cursed, and it's a really cool thing. It's a really nice thing because it's one thing to bring constant monster, to bring constant monster. It's another thing to say, yo, this is not a monster that's harmful to you, but you can still eat it, right? Finally, number 6. We got another episode, and so far, what I was saying, in episode number 5, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, well, we got the orcs, we got the cockatrice, we got some insect, we got some man-eating flowers. So far, it's pretty basic. And then I'm saying, okay, well, this sounds like it's a normal adventure, a dungeon story. Now, I did mention that the show is also a cooking show, which is kind of cool, but it doesn't have much to the story. So, for example, in the first episode, the cooking is really cool. In the second one, the cooking is really cool. And the third one, we've been cooking for 2 episodes, so I know it's going to come. And in the 5th one, it's kind of cool because, like, okay, well, this is a normal adventure that you add the cooking. The cooking already feels old. And then you add painting, living painting. So you're pushed into a portrait. And you see a whole ass story unfold. And why is that interesting is you're adding new enemies. It's very simple and honestly very successful to copy others. For example, I'm going to take one of the most successful RPG franchise since day one, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy comes with a bestiary of every single enemy you can encounter. It's easy to say to copy them, but to bring your own sauce to the pot, that's good too. So yeah, so really cool show. That's pretty much it. Know that I love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.